Welcome and thank you for tuning in. We're going to be talking about surveillance, how insurance companies use private investigators and surveillance to deny and defeat claims. Insurance companies are driven by profit. They will almost stop at no ends to deny, delay, and defeat claims. Insurance companies are only motivated by risk, and so they only pay claims when they're at risk of losing at a trial or hearing. And so one of the ways that insurance companies fight claims is with surveillance. They would rather pay private investigators to follow an injured person around and try to capture some video or photograph of them doing something that they could present then as evidence that you're not as hurt as you say you are. It's very common, unfortunately, in personal injury cases for insurance companies to hire private investigators to follow you around and try to record you. They do this at various times during the claims process. It could be immediately after they get notice of a claim, or sometimes it could be years into the litigation. So years after the accident, after a lawsuit is filed and in the middle of litigation. Unfortunately, it's difficult to predict exactly when or if the insurance company will utilize surveillance. Like everything else, it goes without saying, honesty is the best policy. If you are being honest about your symptoms and your injuries, you can expect that surveillance can happen at any time and you really have nothing to worry about. The way surveillance will harm a personal injury case, or sometimes even defeat a personal injury case, is if the insurance company's investigators record someone doing activity or functioning in a way that is inconsistent with what that person has reported. So for instance, if someone is telling their doctors, they've given evidence in the case and have stated they can no longer stand for more than 20 minutes without taking a break, or they can't walk more than 2 blocks. Sitting too long hurts and they can't sit for more than 15 minutes. They can't lift more than 10 pounds. So if they're telling people this, the doctors are making assessments and recommendations on the basis of what the person is reporting, then the surveillance will certainly hurt that claim if it's inconsistent. If the private investigator records the person walking for 3 hours, obviously that's completely inconsistent with what's contained in the medical records, where the person has reported that they can't walk for more than a block and it hurts too much to stand up for more than 20 minutes. And the investigators are very sophisticated. They do this for a living. They know what the insurance company wants, so they will look for opportunities and they will only record when it serves them. So they might follow you around all day and never turn on the camera. But when they get you in a situation where they understand it may be inconsistent, then they will start recording. The surveillance won't show the breaks. It won't show when you look fatigued, and they'll just record you when you're up and about and doing physical activities. Another surveillance tactic is to try to get people in settings where they're likely to have to carry big, bulky, or heavy items. If someone's reporting it's hard to carry weight in excess of 10 pounds, and then you go on a shopping spree at Costco, you're lifting this stuff out of the cart, maybe from the bottom of the cart all the way up to the trunk, and then they follow you home and you're doing the same thing without assistance, without any display of discomfort. The insurance company will argue that you're actually lying to your doctors and that you cannot be trusted. For an insurance company, it's all about presenting this if your case ever goes to trial. Be honest with your doctors. If certain activity causes you discomfort, tell your doctor. Don't simply say, I can't walk for more than a block. You might want to tell your doctor that walking more than a block causes me pain. If you've done something out of the ordinary, let's say it's an example of somebody who used to love to hike before the accident, or maybe they loved fishing. They haven't really done much of this at all since the accident because of their symptoms, but it was such a passion that you try it. So you go out and you go boating. The investigator might be there recording this. Now there's surveillance video of you boating. But what the investigator doesn't see is what happened to you that evening when you returned home. The pain was excruciating. You had to take more pain medication than you normally do. That's really important. If you do something, an activity that's maybe more physical than you ordinarily would, and it results in increased symptoms or pain, that's an example where you want to go back to your doctor as soon as possible after the activity and let them know. Before the accident, I used to love boating. I hadn't done it much. 2 days ago, I went out with my friend. We did some boating. I was in so much pain. I didn't enjoy it as much, and I've been laid up for 2 days. If the insurance company delivers that surveillance and says, look, your client says he can't go boating anymore, but we've got him out there fishing and boating all day. Now it's really simple to say, sure, we know that. In fact, it's in the record. He told his doctor he went boating. He tried it again, but he also had to get a new prescription because it increased his pain symptoms. So that's an example where the surveillance actually doesn't hurt your case. It corroborates what you're already telling your doctor. It shows you're very honest, you're very forthcoming. Essentially, you've nullified the insurance company's ability to use that as evidence against you. Lots of people think it's nothing to worry about surveillance because I'll know if somebody's following me and recording me and watching me. Our clients have no idea they were surveilled. No matter how aware they are, they just don't know until the information gets disclosed. Keep in mind, these are professionals. This is what they do for a living. Technology has become so advanced. Recording and surveillance equipment is so discreet, it's really unlikely that you will be able to detect when you're being recorded. In fact, we see videos where it looks like the person recording them is literally standing a few feet away from them in a grocery store. The client has absolutely no idea that somebody's recording them. They also have really high-powered telescopic lenses, and the footage is clear. It's easy to tell who's in it, and the client had absolutely no idea. Best bet is to just assume during the pendency of your claim, at any given point in time, the insurance company might have an investigator following you. Typically, they'll record for 2 or 3 days. The difficulty is you just don't know when that will occur. If you do anything out of the ordinary, anything that you think is inconsistent with what you've been otherwise reporting to your treatment team, if your symptoms got worse because you attempted some activity that you normally don't do, make an appointment with your doctor, report the symptoms. In that way, even if they have surveillance, it's unlikely to do much or anything to undermine your case. The insurance company will stop at nothing to try to defeat your claim. And they'll try to portray that if you're really injured, your life should just stop and you shouldn't be doing anything other than going to doctors. And they'll just wait for that moment where you're doing some activity. Don't be fearful of trying things that you did before the accident and trying to carry on with your life as best you can. Just keep in mind, they may be watching you, they may have investigators, they may record you, but to the extent that these activities make your symptoms worse or your symptoms interfere with your enjoyment of those activities, just make sure you continue to report that to your doctor. As long as that's happening, and let your lawyer know too, but as long as you're reporting it to your doctor, then the insurance company can't really use it in the way they want, which is to try to portray you as a liar. I hope you found this topic informative. If you have been injured in an accident, we wish you all the best in your recovery. Of course, if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to us at any time. Our contact details are listed in the show notes below. Thanks again.